Many people believe Michael Jordan is the GOAT. One of the main reasons these people give is that Jordan went 6-0 in the NBA Finals. But the truth is, most people don't know the true reason he went 6-0 in the NBA Finals. This video is going to reveal the true reason behind why Michael Jordan went 6-0 in the NBA Finals and why it does not make him the greatest player ever. A great example of how Jordan fans view his competition is by naming the amount of wins those teams had. But going by that logic doesn't work because LeBron beat a 73-win team.
Oh shit, here we go again.
We are listening to a huge LeBron fan. His channel is literally all about expressing how LeBron's the GOAT and Muhammad Ali. Off that alone, me personally, I don't care. You could have LeBron as the GOAT or Joel Prisbilla. I don't care. It's your vote. Go ahead. The problem is, the reason why I'm even here and I stumbled across this trash channel is because he commented on one of my videos, the 90s was trash, and so was Michael Jordan. I don't think we need to really explain how disrespectful and stupid that comment is. If he had Michael Jordan like, I don't know, 119th all time, hey, at least you would have some consistency there. But he has MJ third all time just 5 months ago. So I can only imagine what he thinks about everybody that's not in the top 5. They must be super duper duper garbage. How can you say that Michael Jordan is trash, bro? Like, do you really hate him that much or love LeBron that much? LeBron lovers, what do they usually say? You know, because LeBron faced the Warriors and, you know, teams like the Spurs in the 2010s. It's all about Hall of Famers, right? That's what makes a team competitive. Me personally, I look at it different, but let's just stick to this dude. If we go off that premise alone, if the 90s is so trash, you know, because they don't have the juggernaut Warriors with KD, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So I would like to give you guys a chance at a pop quiz. In 2015, when the Cavs won it all and beat the Warriors, through the first 3 rounds, can you guess how many Hall of Famers, if Kyle Lowry were excluding him, how many Hall of Famers did the Cavaliers face on their way to the Warriors? Take your time. One Hall of Famer. In 3 rounds, 3 teams, 1 Hall of Famer. And I guess 1 debatable with Kyle Lowry. I'm not trying to take away from LeBron's run to the finals. I can provide a lot more examples, but come on. 1 Hall of Famer out of 3 teams?
So in this video, I'm actually going to break down how his competition was viewed by his peers. Starting with the fact that the 90s Eastern Conference was viewed as weak. The same way modern fans try to tear down LeBron's competition in the East is the exact same way it was torn down in the 90s. In 1996, Dennis Rodman challenged Barkley that if he led the league in rebounds again, Barkley had to wear a dress. Barkley would respond to this by saying the Bulls played Little Sisters of the Poor every night and that the Western Conference had real games. In other words, the East was weak, according to Charles Barkley.
Sorry guys, I'm kind of addicted to the whole trivia thing, and I actually got bored and looked it up in post-edit. When the Bulls went 72-10, out of those 10 losses, how many of them were to Eastern teams? 7. 70% of their losses were to Eastern teams. Kind of hard to call that the weaker conference. It doesn't mean everything, but it means something to me.
There are a few more articles from the 90s that also call the East weak, which are shown on screen.
I don't like this channel at all, but I would actually like to thank you for allowing me to bring this point up. I've been wanting to use this for so long. After LeBron and Kyrie are gone from the Cavaliers, so that would be what, 2018 to 2019, right? I want you guys to guess how many players throughout that entire 2019 season How many players on the Cavs averaged at least double-digit scoring? If you count Larry Nance Jr.'s 9.4 points per game, which I'm going to count it, that is 9 players with double digits. 9! Doesn't that sound like the greatest team of all time? You know, without context, it sounds crazy. So this whole, the Bucks had 9 different starting lineups. Who cares? How many starting lineups did the 2019 Cavaliers have? Answer, daily double. Sorry. 32 starting lineups. 32! But no, the 90s was trash because, you know, the Bucks had 9 different starting lineups. You guys want another trivia?
Keep it going!
We all know you get like, what, 12 or 15 max, right? Guess how many total players are listed on that damn roster? 27 players. Now, they didn't go to the playoffs and they were pretty garbage, because y'all love to say, right? Oh, LeBron leaves the team and then they're trash. First off, that's bull for certain instances, like obviously the Heat when they went to the second round without LeBron a year or two later. But if you look at the Cavaliers, yes, that's partially true. If the league is so damn deep and full of talent, everybody's so skilled now, why would that team be so garbage? Obviously, it would take too long to explain that tumultuous season. But when you lose Kyrie one year, and then LeBron the next, and then your third best player is Kevin Love playing 22 games, how great do you expect them to play? Every damn team of every decade needs a superstar or two, or sometimes 3. So here we go. The Lakers were old. Magic Johnson was second in MVP voting. Second, if you compare Magic's own stats from 87 to 91, they are damn near identical. He didn't fall off. He wasn't old. He wasn't bad. If you look at a guy like James Worthy, he's 29 years old. That is not old. Also, if you give them an old-ass Kareem, no offense, realistically, what is he going to do? Oh man, if they weren't Showtime anymore, if they had Kareem, what was he going to do? So much better than Vlade. Vlade led the playoffs in blocks. Vlade was their third leading scorer. What is Kareem going to do, like, just so magnificently better? Obviously, you know, Kareem career to career, he's obviously better than Vlade, but come on, man. This is Vlade before he got fat, okay? He was moving, and he was definitely helping the team. What if they did beat an old-ass Kareem? Then he's too old. You can't win. Obviously, Worthy got injured, but he still played 80% of the series. As I already showed in a damn video, Michael Jordan was injured, had to cut out his damn toe in his shoe, but we don't get to count that, right? Let's just focus on Byron Scott being injured. He is not an all-time great player that they just missed out on. Y'all bring up Byron Scott 24/7. But no, how dare you bring up the suspension of Draymond or the fact that Curry was hobbled? No. No Bogut's. No, but Byron Scott, yes.
Moving on from that point, Dennis Rodman and Utah Jazz coach Jerry Sloan called the entire league weak and watered down, not just the Eastern Conference. Rodman is quoted as saying the league is so watered down, the Bulls could beat anybody with their eyes closed. Jerry Sloan said that if you look at the overall picture, the NBA is diluted to some extent. If the articles aren't enough, then what about the actual NBA legends that played in the 80s and 90s? Is their word good enough?
LeBron James, your GOAT, literally said the 2010s was watered down. And he literally name drops Kevin Love. You take him off the T-Wolves, put him on a contender, it will shrink the league. How in the hell is that not watered down? Are you going to go against your own GOAT's words? I don't think so. He just already shrunk the damn league with the Heat in the Eastern Conference. Really? We're going to talk about how weak the East was in the 90s. But in the 2000s, for LeBron's first era, it's called the Eastern Conference. At best, how is that not even? Plus, I feel like this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Every year of any sport is going to have a trash can or two in each conference, or unfortunately in a division. This is like kind of foggy and I'm too lazy to look it up, but you look at football, right? The 10-6 Dolphins don't get to go to the playoffs, but the Seahawks go at 7-9. And I'm sure there's more examples. So is the NFL watered down? Like, bro, it's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Really, the Detroit Lions go 0-16. Does that mean everybody on the team is trash? When they have a damn Megatron? A guy commented on one of my videos saying this. Well, the 80s and 90s had teams going to the playoffs with a losing record. Yeah, that's true. But you could say the same for the 2010s and the 2020s. Why do I have to explain this to other sports channels and sports fans?
I don't have to explain myself to you.
One thing for sure, you had Larry and Magic to test yourselves against. There's nothing comparable to that quality of competition at the top for these Chicago Bulls. Through no fault of their own, they don't have the Celtics and the Lakers like you did.
Well, they don't have a steady diet of those two teams, but certainly they have Orlando, they have the New York Knicks, the Indiana Pacers, and you can't say little about the Houston Rockets, as being a cupcake team. They're a very, very good basketball team. But we had a steady diet of Milwaukee, Boston, L.A. in the finals 3 times before finally breaking through in the 3rd time. And just to, kind of reiterate a little bit about what you and Larry are talking about, even though I don't look that much older than those guys, I'm considerably older than both Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. And excuse me. So even though we played against one another on a competitive basis, I was playing near the end of my career, and the pre-Moses 76er teams were a lot different than the teams with Moses Malone. And that team knocked at the door, by going to the finals 3 times before, as I said, breaking through with Moses. And I think the team with Moses, which had the all-time best record, and probably will maintain it if the Sonics can hold on today, could have beaten any of these teams, the present-day Bulls, and certainly we proved ourselves against the Celtics and the Lakers.
The 83 here, Magic, your team of the mid-80s, with you in the backcourt, with Kareem up front, with James Worthy, with Byron Scott, with Michael Cooper for defense. Again, I think, interesting matchups, and by no means assured that the Bulls would beat that team.
Well, Kareem is the X factor because there's nobody that could stop him on their team. Then he would set up shots for everybody else. I think Larry made a good point about his Celtic team, the same thing. The only way you can beat this Bulls team is to have a dominant front line, and that's what we had, and that's what the Celtics had, and of course Dr. J with his team with Moses. So it would have been probably a great finals, a great series, but at the end I think Kareem would have ended up winning it for us, maybe in a game 6 or 7.
What kind of smoking gun evidence was that? What is he supposed to say? If we had Kareem, we would still lose. Hee hee. Obviously, he's going to pick his team. Now, I'm going to take it easy with my criticism of the doctor, not only did he save Pittsburgh, he is a licensed medical basketball professional. And I appreciate how he didn't fall for the opportunity to disrespect the 90s and basically say, we done with the 90s, but he gave credit to the Rockets, the Magic, the Knicks, and the Pacers. So I appreciate you for that, Dr. J. And Magic was respectful, and Bird isn't too rude at all either. But I wanted to break this down a bit. A lot of people say Larry Bird turned the franchise around. He didn't even have McHale or Parrish. What about Dave Cowens and Tiny Nate Archibald, who are freaking Hall of Famers, and they weren't out of their prime yet because they were still All-Stars that season to help him turn that around. So he went from 3 total Hall of Famers his rookie year, and then eventually with all the player movement, he's still stuck with like 4 or 5 Hall of Famers for most of his career. Obviously in the 80s, they're maxing out at like 5 Hall of Famers. Yes, top tier, 3 or 4 teams have 3 through 5 Hall of Famers. What about everybody else? For instance, what in the hell is Dominique supposed to do? How many Hall of Fame teammates did Dominique have?
Nobody.
And older Moses Malone for like 2 years. That's it. And then, of course, you fast forward to another great small forward in PG-13. Who in the hell did he have as a Hall of Fame teammate versus the Heatles? And why the hell does the 80s get a pass when illegal defense existed then as well? They had flagrant fouls and technicals. They were also a part of the expansion era. Why do they just get a pass?
Are you fucking kidding me? They get a pass, you get a pass. That's the deal, right?
What are you talking about? The shooters get a pass.
Right, let's resume the conversation. Larry, we know that this Bulls team is on the short list of the great teams of all time. But what about the overall quality of the NBA in the mid-90s? How do you think it stacks up to a decade or so ago?
Well, I think the expansion teams has really hurt the league. I think it's depleted some of the talent in our league, but...
All right, Larry Legend may be my GOAT small forward, but I do not agree with him on this. The expansion teams were implemented into your decade, the late 80s. But at the time of this interview, this would be the finals of Bulls versus Sonics. So that's 1996. The Magic have obviously just gone to the finals, and this year they would have just lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. That alone deletes the whole expansion watered down to me. But when you really go into detail, Grizzlies and the Raptors, yeah, they're pretty trash for a very long time. True. The Heat and the Hornets were extremely competitive, especially in that moment. But nobody likes to talk about the T-Wolves. I get it, they didn't do anything really monumental, but like I said, I'm a Marbury fan and KG fan. Yes, they weren't going anywhere, but they were at least losing in the first round over and over. It's not impressive, but it's competitive. That's 4 out of 6 teams being extremely competitive. I personally think the 80s is one of the best decades ever for basketball. That doesn't mean it was super balanced, bro. All Larry, Magic, and Dr. J are proving is how top-heavy and imbalanced they were. Like, yeah, when you get to the top of the mountain, yeah, you got to go against Goku and Vegeta and Broly over there. I understand that. There's a whole lot of Krillins in the damn league. Sorry. I had to use a DBZ reference at some point.
6 teams Jordan beat for the championship are the Lakers, Blazers, Suns, Supersonics, and Utah Jazz. The Lakers were no longer the Showtime Lakers by the time Jordan beat them. The Blazers were known as a dumb team. June 4th, 1992, a day after Game 1 of the 1992 Finals, articles were published explaining how the Blazers were known for being a dumb team. In fact, there was a homemade banner with a message to the Bulls that said, "Beat the Dummies." They were known by fans and players as a dumb team. On the same day, an article states Trailblazers added to their image as a dumb team. Their reputation was a talented team, but when it came to making smart decisions in important moments, they lacked the collective IQ to capitalize on those moments. And it's not just the articles or fans that thought so. Magic Johnson is quoted as saying the Blazers were better or more talented than all of those teams, and that they should be able to compete. Talent didn't beat them, their brains beat them. Michael Jordan is quoted as saying the Blazers matched up against the Bulls as well as any team in the league, but to win, you have to play as a team and play smart.
Here's the problem with you MJ or 90s haters. You're killing a narrative to bolster a narrative. I thought the 90s was trash. You're literally agreeing or saying that the Blazers were talented. That goes against how trash they were. But as far as them being dumb, you could say that about a lot of teams. All of the Doc Rivers teams that be blowing leads and stuff, I don't want to get into it, but I'm just trying to prove a point. But the Blazers, that series, like I said, I went back and I watched these games, bro. The Bulls, in their home, blew a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter of the finals to that same stupid or dumb Blazers team.
Overtime in Chicago.
The seemingly impossible had happened. The Bulls had lost control of the game, and even in overtime, they could not get it back. With Danny Ainge leading the way, Portland would steal the game and the precious home court advantage.
Hayes moves, gives cross-court back to Terry, cracks a three from the left side, and scored! And that might be a backbreaker with a minute and a half to go. Suddenly it's Portland by 6.
They weren't that dumb. Granted, they blew an even bigger lead to lose the finals later, but they were good enough to do that.
The Phoenix Suns had the 9th ranked defense, and it was well known they lacked good defenders. Barkley is quoted as saying he gets paid to score and rebound. He doesn't play much defense for the Suns, and that he would need an extra $1 million to play defense.
Are you serious, Barkley? That is terrible. That's a terrible quote, even if you're joking. So Charles Barkley can win MVP, but now he's not stout competition because he doesn't play defense. How many great players of the past 15 years can you apply that to? Just look at James Harden, Luka Doncic. These guys are known to not play defense, almost not at all. Even a guy like Trae Young. Hell, Stephen Curry isn't really known for his defense. I don't think he's ever said anything as crazy as what Charles Barkley said. I'm just saying. Look at LeBron his damn self. The media and a lot of NBA players may be scared to call it out, but us fans know.
And you can tell the people you roll with whatever you want, but you and I know what's going on.
When LeBron wants to play defense, he's actually still pretty good. How often does he actually do it? I'm not just talking about the Lakers when he's old. When he's in his early 30s, he's already taking hella defensive plays off, walking around, crying to the ref, not getting back. There are not a lot of amazing two-way players. Now everybody just has to be 99, right? Everybody has to be 99 overall. Kevin Durant was taking hella defense off, and then he just started to lock in all of a sudden. Even James Harden improved. Luka plays intermittent defense. Kyrie, every once in a while, he'll play defense. These guys are not giving it their all on defense 82 games a year. Stop it. You can say this about how many decades of basketball. We're talking about Charles Barkley here. One of the greatest power forwards ever. Even Karl Malone wasn't really known for his defense, but he's good for like 25 and 10.
Michael Jordan is quoted as saying Charles Barkley would never win a championship because he isn't dedicated to winning, which is pretty much Jordan admitting that his competition wasn't that steep. Last 3 teams he beat to win 3 straight championships was the Supersonics and the Utah Jazz twice. June 3rd, 1996, an article published by the Daily Spectrum titled Jazz Finals Not to Beat. The legacy of losing belongs to Utah, not Seattle. In other words, the last 2 teams Jordan beat for his last 3 championships were known for losing. They were known for predictable offenses and playoff meltdowns. The Utah Jazz, with Stockton and Malone, also have 19 playoff appearances and 9 first-round exits. So when people say the Jazz didn't win because of Jordan, it doesn't make sense. Nearly half of their playoff appearances were first-round exits, and not only that, they faced Jordan twice. What about the other 17 playoff appearances where they failed to capitalize and win at least 1 championship? The Utah Jazz also scored 54 points in the NBA Finals. If this is not evidence of how bad Jordan's competition was, I don't know what else is. LeBron by himself in an NBA Finals game scored 51 points, and an entire roster could only muster up 54 points. It's embarrassing how bad Jordan's competition was.
So for the rest of this video, since this dude is a huge LeBron cheerleader, I'm just gonna compare everything he brings up to LeBron's career. For one, you're talking about playoff meltdowns. I don't think I need to go into detail. So when the Heat in 2014 broke the record for point differential by losing every game by an average of 14 points, -70 total, was the Spurs competition embarrassing? When LeBron, 2-time MVP at the time, puts up 8 points in a finals game, does that make the Mavericks competition trash? When the Celtics in the 2010 finals put up 67, does that mean they're trash? When 2 years before they beat the Lakers by basically 40 in a Game 6 clincher, does that mean the Lakers were trash?
When you look at Jordan's direct competition, it also shines a light on what he actually faced. In the 1991 finals, the starting shooting guard Byron Scott averaged 4.5 points per game. 1992 finals, Drexler averaged 24.8 points per game, which is great, but that was Jordan's only competition at his position. 1993 finals, Dan Marley, who was so inept to guard Jordan that 6-foot Kevin Johnson had to be switched onto Jordan instead.
Dan Majerle was definitely the primary defender, and he was also a multiple defensive team get-to-er. At best, KJ guarded him sporadically. And you're about to mention Hersey Hawkins, like Gary Payton also guarded him. You know, the guy basically known as one of the best perimeter defenders ever. Do I really need to bring up Barea? What is Barea, bro? Maybe 6 feet? Jason Terry's 6'2". He was guarding LeBron, and LeBron couldn't guard him.
Can he stop Jason Terry?
Jason Kidd is 37 years old, 4 inches shorter than LeBron. He was guarding LeBron in the finals. Deshaun Stevenson, he was guarding him. Matrix was guarding him too, and he would be like an even matchup kind of size-wise. That's one guy. What about all those little-ass guards? I know he's talking about finals opponents, but I don't care. I wanted to prove a point. If you look at the 2007 finals run, direct competition to LeBron. Round 1, Jarvis Hayes. Round 2, Richard Jefferson. Round 3, Tayshaun Prince. And then in the finals, Bruce Bowen. I'm not trying to knock these guys, but come on. These are not supreme athletes, nor super elite players. Do y'all even know who Jarvis Hayes is? Richard Jefferson's cool, but come on, Bruce Bowen and Prince are basically mainly defenders.
Averaged 17 points per game. 1996 finals, Hershey Hawkins averaged 13.3 points per game. 1997 and 98 finals, Jeff Hornacek respectively averaged 12 points per game and 10 points per game. When you look at Jordan's head-to-head competition at his position, none of them won any major awards or steals or blocks titles. And outside of Drexler, their career points per game was downright terrible. So now that we've established Jordan's competition was not up to par in the 90s, there are two more things to address. The fact that when he faced actual real competition in dynasties, he got owned, and Jordan's help during those playoff and finals runs. When Jordan faced actual real competition, he went 16-32 versus the Pistons, 6-21 versus the Celtics, including being swept twice in the first round, and 5-5 versus Magic for a total record of 27-58 versus dynasties and historical teams. This doesn't sound like the GOAT to me.
You're basically saying Michael Jordan lost as a supreme underdog. Maybe the Pistons some of those years wasn't a supreme underdog, but obviously in 85, you know, it's MJ as one Hall of Famer versus 4 or 5 Hall of Famers. And he obviously showed up scoring 63 in one of those games. When, again, if you compare it with LeBron, he lost as the favorite multiple times. You know, wins, loss record, it's not everything. Only when it benefits LeBron. The Warriors with 73 wins, it means everything. But when LeBron's losing as the first seed multiple times, hell, just recently, what were the Lakers, the 3rd seed, losing to a 6th seed in the first round? I mean, that's really what this boils down to, right? MJ's the favorite, winning all of these favorable matchups. MJ and the Bulls were not the favorite every finals, but I don't even want to get into it. Just sticking to LeBron's career. Long story short, it's probably like 5 or 6 losses for LeBron as the favorite to MJ like once, maybe, versus the Magic. And maybe another one I'm forgetting. At best, it's 5-2 losing as the favorite. So would you rather win as the favorite or lose as the favorite?
Without Scottie Pippen, he has 0 championships, 0 finals appearances, 0 finals MVPs, 5 losing seasons, 0 winning seasons, 154 and 170 combined losing record, never got out the first round, 1-9 playoff record, and missed the playoffs twice on the Wizards. And when you actually look at the help on his team compared to what he faced, it's no wonder he went 6-0. In NBA history, only 5 players have led their team in every statistical category. Dave Cowens, Kevin Garnett, LeBron, Giannis, and Scottie Pippen is the 5th. The only players to make 3 consecutive All-NBA first teams and All-Defensive first teams in the same years is Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Giannis, Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, Jerry West, and Scottie Pippen is a part of that list as well. What these players all have in common is that they are superstars.
Can somebody tell me
who in the hell does not consider Scottie a superstar? Ultimate straw man argument there. Also, I love how you mention all those great players with all the whatever. But you mentioned Dwight Howard. Was he not a teammate of LeBron? Oh, but he's old, right? So what? We all know you're going to bring up Dennis Rodman eventually. It's okay for Dennis Rodman to be 35, but nope, can't mention a number 1 pick, a guy that scores way more than Rodman. Nope, can't bring him up. He doesn't count. Don't get me started on Westbrook. I might as well get this out now because he's going to bring up like how Pippen was regarded as a top 5 player. I mean, yeah, I agree. It's Scottie Pippen. Amazing player. Great. But so is D. Wade. You know, he was usually debated as to who's better, Kobe or D. Wade. Obviously, more people said Kobe. But it's D. Wade, widely regarded as the second best shooting guard in the league. Do I really need to bring up all of the other great players? I'm honestly not in the mood. I guess Luka doesn't count either. Yeah, we can't bring him up. Jesus. But the reason why I put this photo up is I don't think I'm ever going to make another video about this clown. This is like my rebuttal to his entire 1-minute video where he was basically showing proof, another straw man, saying LeBron was never double teamed in the 07 finals. Who the hell says that? Most LeBron fans say, like the videos I covered, he was being quadruple teamed. They were guarding him with 5 guys. So yeah, I just put that photo up with LeBron himself saying they made him shoot jumpers.
Pippen was regarded as the best non-center by Barkley, the second best player in the league behind Jordan by Isaiah Thomas, and the best player in the world when Jordan left by Dennis Rodman. March 10th, 1997, Sports Illustrated published a magazine with the title, "Are the Bulls So Good They're Bad for the NBA?"
You mean like these articles when everybody basically knew the Cavs and the Warriors were going to meet in the finals and it became extremely boring? I would rather watch the NBA if the All-Stars were evenly spread out. It would be more interesting to watch. I think super teams make the NBA too predictable. Honestly, there's a few more articles like this, but I just want to get this video over with at this point, to be honest.
Jordan fans will also say the 96 Bulls will beat the 2017 Warriors, or the 96 Bulls are the best team ever, and then in the same sentence say Jordan didn't play on a super team. In 1996, Jordan had the best rebounder in the league, the best three-point shooter by percentage, the best sixth man, and the best coach. For context, Pippen made first-team All-NBA and All-Defense, finished second in Defensive Player of the Year, and fifth in MVP voting. Rodman finished first-team All-Defense and led the league in boards. Kukoc was Sixth Man of the Year. Kirsch had the best three-point percentage. Phil Jackson was Coach of the Year, not to mention Ron Harper, and Michael Jordan was the best player in the world.
I regret to inform you, sir, the test results came back positive. You are officially a full-blown LeBron sexual. How the hell did you make this about LeBron again? Jordan had a super team that LeBron has never had. Are you kidding me? So, best rebounder in the league, Rodman. Are you ever going to put how old he was? Let's just put it this way. Kerr and Rodman, what are they really? They are amazing specialists. Ronald Harper was a very good, very promising player. After the torn ACL, naturally there's a fall off. Very versatile, 6'6" guard, can basically do it all. That is Ronald Harper. But you got to look at the timing of when he goes to Chicago. He's 30 or 31 years old after a torn ACL. So he's reduced. That's it. He's not trash. He's not super great either. Dennis Rodman, bro, in my opinion, debatably the best rebounder and best defender ever.
There's a flip side to that coin.
Offensively, what do I call it? Deficient. We'll go with that. I don't want to disrespect the worm, bro. To file Rodman as just a great player, that's it. ... That's it. Let's just move on. No. He's not great at offense. See, now I'm getting angry. We have gotten to the point where these people are acting like Rodman because of his tremendous defensive and rebounding ability. What about Ben Wallace and Dwight Howard? These guys have like 6 depoys together. Maybe 7, whatever, a lot. Dennis Rodman got like 2 of them things. And how the otherworldly than Dwight Howard, MVP, top 5 in MVP voting like 3 times. See what I mean? You see how stupid this is? Christopher Bosh and D Wade don't make LeBron's team super, or Luka, or AD, or Westbrook, or Kyrie, or Love, or Rashard Lewis, or Ray Allen, like Battier, Birdman. No. These guys do not count. Kyle Korver, don't mention him. J.R. Swish. Let's just move on.
Maybe I'm crazy.
You're a little crazy sometimes, I know.
Rodman led the league in rebounds 7 straight seasons, including the entire second three-peat, and had multiple games with 30-plus rebounds.
So, if Kerr and Rodman make this team a super team, right? Then was the first three-peat team a super team? You know, because they're not there and Kukoc isn't there. So how the hell did they procure a whole dynasty in three-peat without those 3 guys and without Ronald Harper? Because you know damn well not to even attempt to say the first three-peat is a super team. So what do? The Lakers are old, even though Magic and Worthy average 30 years of age between each other. The Blazers, they're dumb, but also talented. And the Suns don't have any defense, but they have offensive players like Barkley and KJ.
Scottie Pippen in every finals outside of 1996 outplayed the opposing team's second best option.
Obviously, D Wade outscored everybody in 2011 on both teams. Anthony Davis was 1 point shy of scoring as much as Jimmy Butler in 2020 finals. Do I really need to continue? Out of shape Luka outscored everybody last year. He averaged 30.
So when posed with the question why Jordan went 6-0, it's a simple answer. It's because his competition was poor and he had the best team. All the dynasties of the 80s got old and left a vacancy in the NBA. All the dynasties of the 80s got old and left a vacancy in the NBA. Jordan, as the best player with the best team, took over that vacancy. He deserves credit for it, but it doesn't make him the GOAT because he faced and beat no dynasties, and because he had the best team around him. Now, many Jordan fans might say he was the dynasty, that's why he didn't face any. But as I recall, the Lakers, Celtics, and Pistons in the 80s faced each other. Multiple dynasties can coexist. The real reason Jordan went 6-0 and never faced a dynasty is because none existed in the 90s.
Oh wait, no wait, you're kidding. He didn't just say what I think he did he?
Jordan fans act as if he went 6-0 versus the Showtime Lakers, Pistons, and the Celtics. The truth is, Jordan's best competition was in the 80s, and he got owned by them. Jordan went 6-0 because his competition at his position and around the NBA was non-existent in the 90s. And that is the truth about why Michael Jordan went 6-0 in the NBA Finals. He's an all-time great, top 3 player ever, just not the greatest player ever.
You really just got my hopes up. Some NBA channel finally agrees that the Pistons are a dynasty. Thank you. But then you also say MJ never beat any dynasties. All right, so one last super easy Jeopardy question. Who did the Bulls beat in 91 to finally go to the finals? The Pistons. Well, let me guess. They got old, right? Joseph Dumars was 27. Dennis Rodman, 29. Isaiah Thomas, yes, he did have the injury, 29. Yeah, Lambeer, Microwave Johnson, yeah, they're old, for sure. They're not the top 3 or 4 best players. Mark Aguirre's getting up there, but he's not old yet. He was 31. Look, man, I'm gonna be honest, your video would still be pretty bad, but you made it extremely terrible by implementing LeBron every opportunity. You don't have to be a LeBron sexual. You wake up every day and choose to do so. You are devoid of reality. Again, like I asked you, if you were a teenager, I could forgive and understand your stupidity. You boldly said you're not. You got some work to do, buddy. Just get off your knees and your channel would still be bad, but it would be better. Stop the praising and glazing. Just stop. You know what? Praise, don't glaze.
Did it feel good for me? Absolutely.
To me, it's not important whose idea it was. We were a team, and that's what we did. And looking back on it, was it the right thing to do? Should we had been bigger? Yeah.